fantastic thing I read about too that they did with the update? We can apparently fly in this area if we wanted to, so that's even better.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. Just click on that so you can get rid of it.
Alright.
But wow, they updated.
What did I just... Oh, the little...
Oh, you can toggle bloom. Fantastic. Not a sight for sore eyes.
Yeah.
And then this flight. You know, I'm gonna see how this works. No, I don't think this is working quite yet. Alright, that's not working. Cool. I don't need that anyway.
Connected.
Okay. So I am gonna ask you a few quick questions though, because I am the DM of this though.
Yep.
Because I like knowing things. First off, just kind of set the scenes. First off, this place is basically completely rebuilt except for that tower over there. The tower's there, but there's rubble in the front of the doorway. If you touch it, you can see inside of it via whatever potent magic is really your. Oh.
You can keep going. I can hear you. I'm just have to fix something on my computer.
Okay, no, I'm just making sure. But basically, you can see inside of it, and you see like a whole like round table of sorts of like what look like to be great mages, presumably. And I know you don't have magic sight or anything like that, but if you're sensitive to magic or anything else like that, you can literally feel the magic in the air. There is a whole variety of magic anywhere. Of course, it gets a little bit more specific as you go into certain areas. Like if you go into the medical wing, it will feel a lot more like healing-oriented magic, but of all kinds. The place is also very much to your racial. So if you're like a shadow species, for example, like Travel, it won't burn you up here. Funny enough. And to note, the moment you step in the library, this is with your consent, of course, of what you prefer. And I'm not going to say what books do come up or not. It's just any books your character can learn, knowledge of any magical species, and anything else you wish to let come up, because the library is meant for learning and what your character knows. It's not entirely of everything, it's just more of the magic focus.
So question as far as that goes. So she doesn't know what she's looking for, or doesn't know the stuff that would potentially come up, basically. Would the library kind of be able to pick books that would be relevant?
Yes.
Okay.
But it will only give you enough information so you can learn.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
For whatever it is you are, it brings up that.
Yes.
But the author is blurred out, obviously, for the sake of like thing. And all
But you don't want to come up with with authors for any book someone makes up.
Well, no. So how it works is that if you don't know the name, you never met it, why would the author's name be shown to you? That is invasion of A, privacy and everything else. And B, anything else, like, if you're trying to go further in, the words will start blurring because you need to learn more and interact.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I had assumed, because I had some ideas of stuff that she would wind up finding.
Yeah, this is basically, I'm using more as a plot device at the end of the day.
Hello,
but
Beth.
also, I think that's the most balanced about things. It will encourage learning, but it won't just give you answers.
Yep.
Because that's the whole point of it. But otherwise, this place is fully functional. Even these teleporters here are actually here in character because they were set those up. So if we want to teleport around, that's actually available.
Okay.
And there is an unseen servant at the cafeteria. If we just happen to go in, food will be brought to you. All right.
Sounds good.
That should be everything. I don't think we'll be doing too much exploration here unless Sal gets curious, which is going to be interesting to say the least. Oh, there is someone resting in the medical wing here, though.
Okay.
And there's supposed to be 2 other people, but they're not here in character, so they're not here.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah. You will find, by the way, if you use any type of blood magic here, it will be very easy to use.
Okay.
All right. That's basically everything, and we'll be... Oh, right. One more thing. There's a door here that's still open. It has 3 trumpet lights or horns, like drinking horn style.
Yeah.
And on the words of it, you need to get either 3 different types of magic used on this, or 3 different types of mana in order to open the door. That's all what it basically says. I need to kind of look back on that. But that's what it is. I know that's there.
Okay.
But yeah, otherwise that's it. Okay, then we can go cards up. Alright, cards up in 3, 2, 1. And here we are! Ah, I love being in magical places.
A lot bigger than I expected.
I literally have
I mean, I know you said it was a city, but
I have
like,
this place. Well, yeah, and there's also the academy of sorts that was built around. I mean, we can walk or we can use that, but I'd rather kind of give a small tour as we get there.
yeah.
But it is literally been rebuilt by people. Like, I had tons of people help out with this, and even went, work at the company for that. In exchange for, like, some of the weaponry here and there, which there is cannons and such, but I never really bothered to use them. I'm not really able to transport them that easily. But otherwise, yeah, no, this place is fully functional, but we never really kind of went and explored anything else about it. So there's that. Ah, no, there was that one crystal I found. But, we've just been busy, so we haven't really had time to explore it. But yeah, no, like I said, it was a big place.
Yeah.
Brought Lugic here. Got him a hat. Not the infamous hat, though. The one that has like a whole wanted thing on it.
Yeah, I just heard about that recently. I think last week at the Fork. I hadn't heard that story before.
Thing about...
Yeah.
Yep, an entire thing.
Like 10 million credit hat or something.
Still, it's really nice being hanging out in this place, and I guess it's also lonely. But hey, maybe I'll bring more people to visit, but it's up to them. I still love to figure out the mysteries and everything involving around this place, but too much stuff going on, and unfortunately I can't visit that library in Dragonsboro either until this other hectic thing's going on finish.
Yeah. The Dragonspire stuff. Ugh. Yeah.
If only everything was more simple. But hey.
And yeah, the whole Dragonspire stuff is kind of why I wanted to come by here.
So, did you ever figure out exactly what they wanted you to do? I know they said they were coming along with you, and...
Yes, I did. I found out,
as much as I saw them spar...
when was it? Yesterday? No, Wednesday at Orlando Saka. The librarian was there also, and I found out what they want me to do, which is to kill the Vampire's Baron.
What? By yourself?
Not necessarily by myself, but I'm probably the only person who can, well, besides maybe Sachi, who can actually permanently kill him. Kill them, whoever it is, I don't actually know.
But listen,
Yeah?
But it's just...
yeah.
It's you and...
Well, it's not a soon thing. It's not that. I'm going for him to start training me. It's probably in a couple months.
So I'm not gonna stop you, of course, but I am gonna voice my complaints about you being sent alone, no less, for this 1v1 duel.
Yeah.
I rather someone be there to help bail you out in case. Like that's something kind of extreme. It's to the left here.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't feel like I'm strong enough to do something like that, but the librarian seems to think I could be. Not
I think
currently,
you're
but
strong in your own sense, but
well, I see everyone
it's
when
so
they
much easier to
fight,
do things
and
as a team.
well, I assume that there will be a team in the end. It's just, I
Yeah, you
believe he
saw some
wants
of my new
to,
magic.
I guess, appraise my skills in a smaller group. See what needs to be done from there.
That's really small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't trust it, and I wish I could sneak in behind you.
Yeah. Well,
And then, I know you're fully capable. I literally went on a mission with you, and I remember how smooth that went.
yeah. Yeah, that was one of the smoothest missions I've been on. Some of the Dragonspire ones went well too. I went on one with Slade, and a couple others. That one went well.
It's just teamwork is kind of one of those things that's hard to come by, if
Mm-hmm.
anything, but still.
Yeah.
If I can figure out something to help you out, at least I want to, but
Yeah.
but it also kind of comes to the question: how do you even get into contact with the Baron of sorts of like the place? That
Yeah.
doesn't really add up.
I'm not sure. I don't I don't know much beyond that. He asked my help, I guess. And I'd like to be able to. But I don't
know
even
you
know.
care about the place.
Yeah, and I want to be stronger.
Oh, and there goes the books flying upwards. See if you can find anything. A lot of the stuff comes from down below where it's protected, along with that seal over there, so people can't really get in, but feel free to look around. Maybe you can find something you need.
Yeah, I'll take a look around. I have not
Besides,
been
I've
in many
meaning to help
libraries.
learn as well.
Mostly just Misty,
good.
really. We had some back
It should
home,
be
but
somewhere.
they weren't very big. And it was a lot
Yeah,
of
this is huge and
technical documentation for stuff. I always like books though.
oh, same here. Should be any of the shelves, really. At least for something you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this library works. It encourages learning, but it's never perfect. Oh, you might see some blurred out things because it's stuff I might know, but that's a heads up.
Yeah, not many of these that I can even tell what they are. This one's like basics of mana.
Yeah, it gives you basics and everything else like that too, and some things you can learn.
I do know that my race's mana is specialized, so that could be why this is here.
Oh, could be. I mean,
don't
of course,
even
I'm
really
also
know
in the
what
room, so that doesn't help.
I don't even really know what normal mana is, because I only have the one, and don't really have magic sight or anything like that, so I can't kind of investigate things along those lines.
I mean, I can, but also, do you know what your race is called?
Yeah, we're a Naka here.
Naka here. Oh, fuck. Hang on. No, hang on. I know I can use mortals, but I want to be upper body strength. Naka here. There it is. Hang on, I'm gonna have to ask you to catch it. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Down, 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 down. Okay. So, what does it say?
Kind of what I would have expected. Um, lost our homeworld. Doesn't seem to have anything on that specifically, the home world, or at least nothing that I can read.
Well,
Um,
that one's more focused on their species, if anything.
yeah.
If your world's magical, it might be in here, but
yeah, has stuff on our magic, hemomancy and the like. That's pretty much it, though. Has
it
stuff
should
on
be something new at least.
Has some stuff on kind of a, I don't know, it's sort of like a, I guess, boogeyman story of our people. People who lose themselves to the magic. Which is, I mean, I've never seen it, but that doesn't mean it's not a, that doesn't have a basis. We're always told not to use too much or use it too often, or try some things with it.
Duly noted, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you get too consumed by the magic, it changes you probably regardless if we believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, not sure.
Should be probably also something about hemomancy, too.
Yeah.
And the Naka's. I'll look for that and see if I can find a book. God, but there's books everywhere.
Yeah, I think this is probably more books than I've ever seen.
Yeah, more than the Misty Shores Library. But that's kind of what happens when you start learning a lot of magic yourself.
Yeah. Not sure. Some about vampires and werewolves and wendigos. I mean, vampires maybe is because of what's going on recently, but I don't know about the other things.
To be honest, I haven't figured looking deep into the red cord in this place, but
yeah,
maybe. Yeah. But we're not here to focus on that. We're looking for your magic and your species. Something new should be in that book.
No. I guess, do you know much about, like, mana structure? I assume you know some about it. Because there is, like,
quite a bit. I also...
some diagrams. In
Oh?
the book of my race, and then a book of just kind of general magical theory. Which they don't seem to be exactly the same, so like I thought, like my race has always been told, our mana is like specialized in some way, or different than kind of standard.
So explain this here then. So I know the most normal ones is that the veins kind of go similar to a blood structure to some people, similar to kind of like mine. What's the major difference from yours?
I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously, it seems to be more focused on the blood, specifically, which makes sense. Considering that my blood kind of does its own thing half the time. Like, if you inject me with a different type of blood, I don't have to even think about it, and it will be translated by my magic.
No.
I can accept any blood type, or donate any blood type. It does the same. If someone were to take blood from me and put it into themselves, it kind of does its own thing, and I don't have to mentally think about that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm always bad at this kind of stuff.
Take your time. It's one thing at a time. And it might help too if you read the book. It might explain a bit more.
Yeah. And like, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't know what to even consider when it comes to magic most of the time.
Well, you said your magic is tied typically to your blood. And you're able to accept any kind of blood and give out any kind of blood like a donation. So the magic here, as most people, either has a mana sac, which I also have as well, and also the mana veins that can typically be created. Your species, however, seems to be a 1-for-1 of your blood and your magic, or in this case, mana. So, and weirdly, besides the fact, typical exhaustion, does this here not exhaust you for the most part? Of like, because a lot of people similar to mages, if I cast too many spells, I get exhausted and I can kill myself too much. Does the same apply here for your mana veins and such? Or I guess your blood?
Not really. Not from just like if something I make breaks, then I'll lose the blood that was making it. But outside of that, I have very little. I have like very little. I guess people call it mana burn, mana exhaustion, that kind of thing. I've pretty much never have been low on mana, as far as I understand. I'm pretty sure I'd die before that could happen from blood loss.
So you just lose it upon, if someone breaks it, right?
The things I make, it's a... What's the way to explain it? It's like a lattice of blood and mana.
Book that you put in. Is it over there?
Yeah.
A lattice. Okay, let's pull that out too. Real quick. So, bring this book over here. Open the book here. So hemomancy thing, and you said it's like a lattice.
Yeah, so lattice. So it's like, how crystals, they're like molecules aligned in certain ways. Whenever I do what I do, it's a kind of web of mana and blood particles. It's how I give things strength. Otherwise, they'd be just blood, which it doesn't have its own, like, doesn't have much strength behind it. That's why what I do is essentially as strong as like modern alloys and stuff.
Okay, so something to look into as well. The fusion of blood and mana. How that kind of happens. And you said you could also solidify this thing, right?
Yeah.
So if we take into account you can solidify it, what would be kind of a similar structure? Gosh, I have to talk like Scaly here. Something using similar to the periodic table. Mana can typically be formed into the similarities of shields and such. You use it very similar with your own structure here. Except you said you seem to die before, Yeah, so then another question to come into question. Well, I know it's probably obvious to you, but how does your racial regain your own blood here without like just healing? Because don't you think most of the time it's a difference for needing a healing than with mana, right?
Probably. I'm not really sure. Like, I know that I
Well,
recover blood quicker than most people do. Like, severe blood loss I can recover from in like a week, which usually takes people months. Um,
so then in this book here, rapid regeneration will probably be mentioned.
mhm.
Because you, like I said, you get it back quicker than most people.
Yeah.
And let's see, hemomancy is always a controlation of the blood. And you have quite the uses of blood too, if I remember correctly, right? You can form walls, structures, and anything else like that.
Yeah, pretty
But at the
much
cost of
anything that any object I can make, and then I can do like other smaller things. I can manipulate blood vessels to help them heal, clot quicker, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff I use for medical, which is kind of a not quite the same as the objects. It's a little different in how it works.
Okay. So hemomancy is the manipulation of blood, and you use a structure similar to the mana, which mana is already infused with your blood. So what happens, hear me out, if I give you a bit of mana? Would that start infusing with your blood, you think?
Most likely. I've never really like tried taking a mana potion or anything because I've never had a need to.
Let's not do a mana
like
potion.
I know, but like
that's a
I'm
lot
just
more
in general, I've never needed mana, so I haven't ever tried.
Here, let's try this real quick because we need to experiment. We need to learn.
Mhm.
I'm going to put mana into you. I'm going to look with my magic sight here and let me know how you feel and everything, okay? I'm putting mana in 3, 2, 1.
I don't know. And with your mana sight, it just seems to kind of be avoiding the existing mana that's there. It's like not going into her bloodstream or anything.
Where is it going?
Just through kind of the tissue around and everything. Just nowhere in particular.
Huh. Interesting. So, in case you're wondering, the mana is more acting like a, I guess it's more just following around your tissues and such instead of going in with your bloodstream there.
Strange. Like it didn't
Well, no,
feel weird, but like I didn't feel anything.
I mean, it's there, but it's just not combining like it would be, which I guess makes sense. I would have to probably directly get to your blood and do it that way if I wanted it to combine, but we're not here to do that.
I mean, I could give you a crystal. It doesn't have to be in me.
If you want to form a crystal real quick, and I can try putting mana into there and see what happens.
Here.
Okay. I'll put mana into it, and we'll see what happens, shall we? Alright. Putting mana into it in 3, 2, 1.
And the crystal seems to, the mana inside of it seems to try to avoid the new mana that's being introduced, and it shatters.
Oh. I'm so glad I'm wearing gloves. Wow. It avoids new mana, and... Interesting. Why would it avoid the mana, though?
I don't know.
check in your book. Maybe something new comes in because we learned about this. It should explain a bit more.
I'm not sure. Doesn't really seem to have too much new.
Well, we did just learn about it, though. This whole mana avoiding the blood. It should give a little bit more, if anything.
It seems to just maybe have a little bit more on how the mana itself is different. And probably just, I guess it's kind of like, ironically, it's kind of like a body rejecting a type of blood, I guess. Is trying to accept a different type of mana straight into the stream. It doesn't like it. Not sure why that would be, though.
But it actively avoided it. And let's see here. Because if I give you my blood, which is gonna hurt me, you in theory would accept it, right?
Yeah.
If I try infusing the blood with mana while I'm at it, do you think it would do the same thing?
I'm not sure. Because it could just be that it was, I guess, introduced too directly. Like the hemomancy might try translating in a more slow way, whereas directly infusing just the blood itself might be too much of shock for it or something. Not sure.
I'm willing to try if you are. Might as well do something.
Yeah, I guess would your blood normally have mana in it? I know a lot of people's does, and I haven't had had problems in the past with people's blood.
Technically, yes. There's a mana pool on my heart. It's a long story. Not really that long, but there's that there, and, you know, my whole being is, if you're looking at magic site, it's like a bunch of mana at the end of the day.
Because, yeah, I've never really considered, like, whenever I accept someone else's blood or donate to someone, if that would have been a problem for me, and it hasn't been. Like, I've never had a backlash from someone's mana before. I mean, we can try, if you want.
Okay. Luckily, I can do healing magic, so
I can close it up too. Actually, I can just kind of coax some blood out of your vessels without even cutting you.
Oh, that's gonna feel weird.
Yep, it does.
It's almost like Okay.
I'm going to just pull a little bit. And
that's a weird tingly feeling. That's a weird tingly feeling.
And let's see. And she's just going to kind of absorb it into her skin. And in your mana site, you can see that while it's being kind of drawn into her veins, it does seem that the mana itself gets turned into a similar type as her own. In fact, it seems kind of almost viral, I guess. Like, the mana begins slowly as it's approaching, like it reaches out through the mana, and then as it gets into her veins finally, it's all the same stuff.
Wow.
I mean, it didn't hurt or anything.
Oh, right. I guess to explain what I saw, besides the fact of, it seemed like you needed a national dilute with, like, blood and mana for it to actually properly work there. It almost went more naturally in that time instead of being avoided of the mana that it typically is.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would have expected, since I haven't had problems in the past when dealing with people's blood.
Okay. So far right now, what we've concluded, natural mana with it does not work out for you. It needs to be diluted in blood, if anything, if we want the two to combine. Your... And it is just hemomancy, though, that seems to be going with the magic. If... I'm trying to think what else we could try here. Because this is new knowledge that we have gained thanks to this, though. And the structure is different, so... Let's see... Could you, I guess, cast once more and let me actually look deeply into it with the magic? Like, just do something like another creation, like a crystal.
Mhm.
And let me, like, look to see as you're creating it.
Okay. She'll just slowly form a crystal between her hands.
And what am I seeing with magic sight as that's happening?
Probably not much different than before. I get like because she made a crystal earlier. But essentially, as her blood flows out, like the mana comes along with it. It all crystallizes and kind of forms a crystal structure of the mana in the blood. Yeah, probably not too much else really that's kind of, I guess, relevant. It seems to be, as she said, like it's probably primarily a mana, really, the crystal, with blood kind of helping reinforce it in some way.
So, okay, hang on. As I'm looking at this, I'm not exactly seeing too much of a difference. If you bleed, right, does it immediately crystallize?
No. Though I guess I don't bleed as much as people usually do because my blood or my body starts trying to heal itself. But if I do bleed, like it will drop out and be a liquid. But usually it's very quick.
Because it comes out of you, as it naturally does for a lot of people when casting magic. And you can is it only crystallization you can do?
I mean, I can like move it on its own, like I did with the vampire
form?
stuff. Yeah. But the primary stuff I do is crystallizing because it's like because I found it's more useful. But I can just manipulate it itself.
Think. Okay. Crystallizes. It needs to be diluted in blood for mana to even properly go with you. If anything, your body is a natural regeneration. You're capable of making structures and sorts and coating yourself in your own blood. Something is missing from this that I'm. And your race was called a.
Naka here.
The name off the top of my head. Naka here. When you guys fight, do all of you use your blood?
That's the ways that we've been trained. Like I wasn't originally a fighter back home. I did medical like I do now. But the fighters of our people, yes, they would. Well, I mean, we used guns too because space. But
yes,
the kind of traditional ways of combat are crystallizing blood to make objects.
Wait. You can make structures and other things. Can you make it do a for certain tasks too? Like, by that I mean, like, say you make a crystal, but you make it where it can start glowing. Have you tried doing that?
I've never tried. I don't even know how I'd go about trying to do that.
Well, first start with the crystal. You already have one in your hands there, right?
Mhm.
Now, it's where's that book about light spells? Let me grab this real quick. Place this here. Okay. So most light spells, as you know, whenever you see it, you see light kind of formulate around the pan and such like that, right?
Mhm.
You yourself said you can manipulate the blood and such like that with the mana that needs to be diluted at least inside of it. I want you to see if you can maybe start focusing on your mana of the blood and see if you can make it start being at least more brighter.
Mhm. Mhm. I guess I'll try. And it does slowly seem to start getting a little bright, but then the mana itself seems to just fall apart and the crystal shatters. Hmm.
Well, this is a pun, huh? On the bright side, you had it started working there for a second.
Hmm. And out of character question, how familiar is Silver with curses and stuff?
So I have a very advanced magic site right now.
Mhm.
So I could tell there's a curse. How much I would know, I let that be up to DM discretion.
So essentially, it doesn't actually seem like a, I guess, curse itself, but something in the mana seems to behave in the way that you would expect like a curse that's been triggered by some like criteria to behave. So like something triggered which caused the mana to destroy itself.
What the heck? It wasn't a curse. What? No. Sorry. Let me look at that one more time. If you could do that again. To explain it, it looked like someone almost like put a curse of sorts that would dilute things for mana typically to work properly.
So she makes another crystal.
Let me take a really.
Repeats the process. It starts to slightly glow, and then again, the mana itself unravels itself.
Okay, as it starts to unravel itself, Silver's going to try to step in, and he's going to try to manipulate it itself
Mhm.
and see if he can start making it more structural, as if it's like DNA, in a sense.
Mhm. And you're able to kind of catch it, I guess. But the mana that you catch no longer seems to be the same as what was in her body. It's now like your mana would be, so just kind of normal mana.
So, if to explain it in like a way, I'm talking out of character right now. I assume it would look like a different shade of hue.
Yeah, I could
For
go
this
with something
mana
like
kind
that,
of
basically, yeah.
situation? Yeah, that's what I'm using right now. A different shade of hue. Does it still crack?
Yeah,
Or is it stable?
so the thing falls apart, but then you catch just the mana and like some blood just falls to the ground. Just like normal blood, not crystal.
Is that a liquid now?
Yeah.
What
I'll just pick that up. And just reabsorbs it.
Yeah, and I'll just hold on to this mana. Okay, so nothing in your species here should like your species doesn't have this problem with mana, does it?
Well,
Hmm.
we've always, like, whenever I was taught, we've always been told that the only thing we can do is what we do. So I don't know if, like, I guess it's never been checked. Like, we don't have many many contacts with people outside of our own race often.
Hang on, I'm gonna checking for curses should be a simple thing. Getting rid of it's a different thing. Shoot. Curses. I want to check for curses. Okay. This should maybe have it. Flip. Oh, I need those. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to get some plants, and I'm gonna do a quick component casting spell because I don't really know the spell off the top of my head.
Okay.
But basically, this should like check to see what the curse is in more details than what I'm seeing. Give me 1 second.
Mhm. 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 Click clack.
Okay, sorry. I got the
Mhm.
ingredients real quick. I had to go make them. Alright, if you don't mind, I'm gonna try using them here real quick and see
Mhm.
what I can see. And 3, 2, 1, as you see, silver were cast, the materials here will start to glow, and then they were poof. And he's basically checking for any magical curses and such like that.
Mm. Yeah, so you're not able to find anything that like a detect curse would pick up on as being a curse, basically. Like it doesn't seem so she does not appear to be cursed, is what it kind of comes down to.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, no, this is just so we're making sure it's
mhm.
not a magical
Yep.
curse at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's probably mostly what you'd
Alright,
get from that
so
kind of spell.
nothing comes up.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, on the bright side, not a magical curse.
Well, that's good.
Not so bright side, it's not a magical curse, which means another thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, at least that would have been something. Hmm. Uh,
Hmm. You said your home planet was destroyed, right?
well, I, d- I guess I don't know if it was destroyed. Our records say it was lost. So could be destroyed.
Oh.
Could just be somewhere that we don't know of.
Man, you don't know anything about like the history and such of it,
No,
so it's not like you can really
unfortunately.
learn. Besides,
Yeah, unfortunately, we have basically no records of anything from when it happened. Like our history starts whenever we moved onto ships, basically. Prior to that, there's nothing.
Hmm. Well, I think going there will be solving the issue unless you have some type of description of what it looked like or
Unfortunately,
picture.
no.
So let's rule out going there, but well, this is a lot more than we were considering of things, that's for sure. But what else could we maybe try? Because it doesn't dilute together the mana and blood properly if you try to transform it into what the basis of structure it seems to be. Making it do another objective will make the mana dilute itself and unravel.
Hmm.
Mana is not properly able to intake, it goes around your tissue instead. So... But why would it... There's no reason it should unravel, if anything, if...
Yeah.
What could I do? What could I do to test this further? What can I do? Can... I guess try... I know the light doesn't work, right? Can you change your temperature of the blood? I know you can make it from liquid to like a solid, but I never really asked you if you could change the temperature.
A little bit. I can regulate its temperature a little. I don't know how much. I've used it to keep myself warm.
Yeah, but let just form another crystal and see what happens with it. Let me take a look and see if the same outcome happens for everything.
Okay. So she again forms a little crystal, starts to kind of try to manipulate the mana in it as she would to heat herself up, and it starts to get warm, and eventually, at some point, it again seems to have hit some type of tipping point and then unravels itself.
Okay. Before, once it starts to try to unravel, all right, stop it there. Well, hold that real quick.
Okay.
So, looking at it more, how would you try to describe it? Does it look like almost like a DNA strand being broken? If you had to describe it.
Yeah. So it looks like, I guess, similar to that. So it looks sort of like a DNA strand, but it seems like there's something almost wrapping it that is not like part of the mana.
Okay, Sal, I'm gonna need you to look at your own thing here real quick. And what does it feel like right now to you? If you had to describe how this blood feeling and everything is, besides the fact, yes, of course, it's your blood, but it looks like it's about to shatter.
Yeah.
From the magic side.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it feels kind of like if I were to take too much damage, like whenever something of mine shatters, it feels similar to that. Like it's losing itself, losing its structure.
Okay. So, reel it back a little bit and let's see if it fixes itself.
Okay. She kind of lowers its heat, and it does seem so. The mana itself kind of contracts, and then whatever it is that seems to be kind of surrounding it also kind of contracts back in and becomes almost indistinguishable from the rest of the mana.
Okay, well, on the bright side, the magic is going back into a more stabilized form. How does it feel to you right now? Does it feel like a solid structure right now?
Yeah, it feels like I'd expect it to.
Okay. So there's a tipping point between where the blood and mana cannot properly conduct anymore. But why? Why would it do that? Can... do it one more time again where if you start heating up, I'll tell you when to stop again, of course,
Okay.
when, it looks like it's about to unravel. Because there's...
And again, she'll start heating it up, and eventually it'll get to that point.
Okay. And looking at this right now, so if to you it feels like it's about to be structured to break, right?
Yeah.
Try expanding it real quick and see what happens if you add more of yourself to it.
Okay, so she makes it bigger, and it's anything that she adds in seems to also start to kind of begin to unravel, as it did in before. So the larger quantity, as it's introduced, starts to have the same failure of structure.
Okay. We're gonna try something really funky here. Try taking my blood and adding to it. If that's possible, I know it sounds like really hard to do where you're already doing that, but just try that and see if the mana would be more structured because I'm more magic. Dang.
Okay, so she takes a little bit,
just theories.
Introduces it in,
Weird.
and it seems to start to get translated, similar to how it did when it was just added into her blood, and eventually, so you can actually see as like whatever this is that seems to be wrapping her mana, when it's like kind of fraying, starts to surround the mana that's being introduced from your blood.
Is it by chance stabilizing it though to be a proper spell-like?
No. So it seems to become like essentially the same as the rest of the mana within the object.
Okay. So it rules out the fact of, needing a magical creature or something else like that, because it's making it similar to what yours already is doing. So, let's see. Let's rule out some things. Making it too hot, or anything else that is more magical focused without the blood, with that... Wait. Does... Hang on, you massive regenerate. Do you know, like, the boiling point of, like, blood and such before it turns too magical into something?
I'm not sure.
Well, okay. Let's assume that it can act as regular person's blood. Like, when do you think it'll stop being blood, right? Because right now, the structure I'm looking at, I think it's similar to that of what happens if it's not any more blood.
Yeah, it probably is towards the extent of what blood could handle as far as heat goes.
So, what I'm thinking then, let's try a little bit something more extreme. We had to do something to learn. Try making a spell circle with your blood and see if it's a little bit more stable.
I guess you'd have to show me one. I've never tried that before.
I will. Hang on. I have to do a little bit of magic, so pardon me here. May flux you out, but we'll see. Okay. I'm coming down here. We're gonna go into a more open space. Bring the books as well, in case we need to read them up again. Actually, I can just put them in a portal right now. I can do that. Hang on. Look at the table real quick. Put them in there. Fantastic. there it is. So this should make it a little bit easier. Click on this. You should see more of a map of the structure in your head here. Head to where it says Delossal Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not, too worried about that, but traveling's a lot easier. Unfortunately, the structure is still, there, but... Nope. There we go. So, look at my feet when I'm casting this. I'm not going to cast this as you. It's just this is a good showcase of a magic circle. Ah. Did you see it? I'm gonna have to probably move one more time so you can at least look at it.
Okay.
Got it?
I think so.
Okay. Try copying that and see what may have happened if you try, I guess, casting.
So she'll put her hand to the ground and kind of out from her skin, she starts extruding blood and starts forming it into as close as she can get to what you had.
Okay.
Okay, that should be it, I think.
I can cast again real quick if you want to double check. It doesn't
Sure.
hurt.
Okay. Just a little change. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
And let's see how bad this goes.
Alright, now. Try focusing on the blood and see what happens when you try to cast a spell using it.
Okay. And she channels mana into the circle, and I guess kind of a similar thing winds up happening. So as the mana gets focused in it and starts getting to a certain level, the blood starts like crystallizing, spiking up, and then completely like obliterating itself, all like radiating out from where the mana was introduced from. Yeah, I don't think that worked.
Huh. No. But... Which is interesting. Usually circles like that usually really helps out with that, but...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did it crystallize before it break?
I think so.
Why would it crystallize? You made it, a liquid of sorts, right?
Yeah, it was. It was originally.
Why would mana crystallize it? Hang on, can you make a blob real quick?
Mhm.
Of just blood?
Yep, there we go.
I'm just using this as a temporary thing, but... So it's going to introduce mana into it to start crystallizing.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, as the mana gets introduced, it'll start kind of trying to, it seems like it's trying to translate the mana, but then it starts, some of it starts to kind of break like before, but not as much.
What the heck? Crystallize. Hemomancy. Breaks upon the much structure of mana for input. How did that feel to you, by the way? Like, did it feel unnatural, or?
Yeah, it was strange because it felt kind of like what I do, except I wasn't trying to do it. Like, it did that on its own. Usually, like, whenever I crystallize something, I have to focus on it.
Right. Maybe that can help. This is not a problem. To explain it, that if I put you in the medical wing and, there's some healing spirits there, but basically they look at everything that's wrong with you, at least more on a magical level, and kind of give it back in like a written document to the person. We could try there and see if it may, like, show us what's maybe wrong with you. It's worth a shot, but...
Yeah, we could try. I don't know.
Let's just see what happens at the end of the day. Doesn't hurt. I don't expect to find the solution, but if it tells us something, it tells us something. That's just how this medical wing seems to work for the most part. I guess sit on one of these beds and it should kind of take care of the rest for the most part. So I'm gonna have to explain what happens here. The moment you sit down, you're gonna start seeing like kind of similar green healing spirits kind of start to appear, and they seem to analyze you on more of the medical focus scale level, but the more magical variant size. And they would kind of scan you, see if there's anything wrong, of course, and if it does, they will start writing down on a piece of paper. You'll write down your species, It put down the patient, but not like actually the name, but I guess it will put down Sal because, I said Sal. And it will write down anything that's wrong with you, and if they're capable of healing you physically, they're gonna, automatically doing that. But anything else, it will be written down on a piece of paper, and then they will hand it over to you if there's anything they can find.
I guess like how in depth would stuff be?
So it will be similar to a typical hospital. Right, first and foremost. Like, when they do like a whole x-ray scan on you and like, oh hey, you have a broken bone here, or this is not functioning, things like that. It's on the level of that, but more of a magical scale focus. And it's really, really good the more the magical. If there's something more beyond like that's physical or something that's like, you don't feel comfortable with, it doesn't show up.
Yeah, it probably would just come back with like essentially she is healthy. Nothing of note,
fantastic.
basically.
No, that's fine. Fantastic. All right. Because of medical reasons, I can't really read that unless the patient's unconscious. What does it say?
Doesn't seem to be finding anything. Just looks like normal vitals like I'd expect.
Well, that's good. At least you're healthy, but... so it's not a curse. Doesn't seem something physical, if anything. The books are not giving as much as I wish they would. It's only enough to learn. You didn't seem to really learn anything new. Think. Anything that comes to mind of what we could try, maybe? Because so far we have the structure where the mana and blood kind of start to dilute from each other. Introducing mana into a liquid version of your blood starts to crystallize it. And if it gets too much, where it starts unraveling itself, the mana then separates from the blood and then it shatters. Let me at least switch back out of this. There we go.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. And I guess it seems to be something specifically to do with the mana itself, maybe. But that doesn't really give us much.
No, but it also gives us a lot too.
Yeah.
So, So when you do your weaponry and such, that's a crystallized version of it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But why does it not shatter to begin with? Let's ask this real quick.
I'm not sure. I don't even really know why it works in the first place. Like, I mean, scientifically, blood shouldn't be able to make good crystals, but because of its interaction with the mana in some way, it does. So I don't know what would
Here,
cause that.
do your whole sword and shield again. I want to
Mhm.
take a look at this real quick because that's a larger sample size than a crystal.
Okay.
I know this sounds weird, but I guess I'm just kind of pulling at strings for the most part.
Let me just do this real quick so I can actually,
Yeah.
have one.
Okay. So these are the crystallized versions of the blood and crystals, correct?
Yeah.
And these just feel natural to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I presume if I look at it magical site-wise, what do I detain if it's anything different?
It looks similar to like the first couple of crystals she made before anything was weird was done to them. It just seems to be, again, primarily mana with some blood throughout it. But kind of the majority of the structure is like this mana that's sticking to the blood in some way, making it strong.
So it's a natural reaction that's happening between the mana and the blood, but the blood is making it strong?
It seems like the mana is, I guess, sticking to the blood particles in some way, like it's formed connections between the particles and the other mana and everything. It's like it's using it like a glue, I guess, to hold everything together.
Strong glue.
Yup.
What is it, Gorilla Glue? Sorry. Tap, 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 tap. And this feels solid like a crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can form any kind of shapes using your blood here, given it's not too large.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part. Like, more intricate things are harder to do, but I can with time.
Mm-hmm. And how long does this take you to form? Like seconds, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very quick.
Wow. Let me see something, because this is be a larger scale. I'm gonna do this again, but it might shatter, so prepare yourself. I'm gonna try putting mana into it, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna keep... So Silver's gonna put mana in it until we start seeing a fracture in the structure.
Okay. Yeah, and at some point, basically, it will start doing the same thing where the mana itself seems to be unraveling. There seems to maybe be something that's like holding it together, but it begins fraying, basically.
Okay.
I almost sat on Pixel.
Now, put more blood into this, because I imbalanced the scale with mana.
Okay. It seems to kind of begin reforming a little.
Oh. You need a balance. By that, I mean, think about it when something gets too magical versus something that's not any more blood. So essentially, think of like a medium you have for yourself that you can control right now. So too much mana will cause it to fracture, where the blood can no longer properly transfuse the mana. Because mana kind of acts like a blood cell in the well. If you put too much into a dilution of one thing, it causes a change for another. So, with this in mind, I want you to think back to our examples trying the light and flame. try doing it again until it feels like it's breaking, and then add in more blood to see if you can stabilize it.
What? You going to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Go. I'm busy.
Quick shower and then I'll go sleep.
Okay.
Love you.
Leave. Go. I'm busy. Okay. She makes a crystal and begins doing the same thing. It starts to like glow. I guess she'll do the light. It starts to glow a little bit. Starts to begin to fall apart. Then she puts some more blood into it, which seems to stabilize it, except the glow stops. Like it basically seems to start turning just back into one of her normal crystals the more like she balances it out.
Too much magic means it breaks. Too much blood means it doesn't perform. So... let me try aiding you with this real quick. Just you focus on keeping the blood structure there, and I'm gonna kind of dilute it with mana. Okay? Anything of like a conversion. We're gonna try here.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna focus on making it do light. You just focusing on it making it like a blood that glows, or I guess blood that's solid, or maybe a liquid. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So Silver's gonna start adding in the mana.
Okay. And it seems to do a similar thing to a while ago where it seems to just reject the mana that you have and then it tries to start shattering, basically. And it's like not glowing or anything. Essentially, it's just the crystal itself seems to be trying to pull itself apart now that different mana is being introduced.
So I'm assuming it feels like a shattering for you right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this different mana. I never thought about trying that way. Okay. So Silver's gonna put in the mana again, but this time he's gonna mimic it being yours.
Okay.
And it's still gonna be the focus of it is trying to cast a light spell in the end of the day. But it's just now mimicking as if it's yours, so it seems like it's completely natural. And you want to see what happens.
So as you try to kind of mimic, I guess, the mana signature of her mana, you in your like magic sight almost see some stuff kind of leaving her mana and going to yours and then merging with it. And then it stays stable, but it still doesn't try to actually light up. Like the crystal doesn't break, it kind of just eats the mana and, well, converts it into its own type.
Okay. So he's gonna make it basic where he starts casting a spell into it now. Using that same mana with the blood still being there. But he's gonna put it into the spell slot of like as if you're doing hemomancy. In this case, he will see if he will already have basically the spell combined with the light as he's mimicking it, and see what happens if introduced.
Okay.
If that makes, I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but basically it's like, okay, no, perfect, all right.
Yeah, so you try like I guess putting in mana that's casting a spell in a similar way, right?
So it's already like in the process of casting of like a succession, and seeing what happens.
It just explodes.
Ow! So, that just exploded, which doesn't make sense to me. So, if you had to describe how that felt to you, did it just feel like something just instantly shattering with no rhyme or reason?
It was pretty quick, but yeah, for the most part, it seems to. It felt kind of similar to back in the library where the one crystal just fell apart. Um, I don't know.
Sorry. Okay, hang on. Let me grab this out real quick. Grab this out. Here, try reading and see if maybe it explains what may have happened from here in the book. Because we did learn, but it should give us, like, maybe a reason why, so we have a bit of an understanding.
Mm. What does it say? Not sure. I mean, so before it basically was saying that, like, we have specialized mana, blah, 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 like I had said before. It almost seems to be saying that there may be some restriction on the mana, more so than a specialization.
A restriction?
Yeah. Like, maybe it actually can only be used for the kind of stuff I usually do. Maybe the mana itself, for some reason, is locked.
Well, does it mention anything about an imbalance, though? Because I noticed that an imbalance of too much mana shatters it. And too much blood doesn't make it cast anymore.
It seems like maybe if it tries going too far out of, I guess, out of natural kind of things, it may seem to stop itself. I'm not sure.
So then, do you think then that there is a tipping point between something that is pure magical and then your blood here? This is a pure magic sword of essence of mana, basically, but it's solid enough that it can act as similarity. Given, you know, your blood, if it dilutes too much into a magical structure, it no longer solidifies into sense and it just shatters. Because then it, I guess, because magic would be too active then? For like something to keep up?
Maybe. Yeah. Not sure. Maybe something like that.
Trying to think what else we could test really, because I think for now that's all we can do until we look more into something else. Because it comes to the question, what is your limitation of what you can create? You said it's any solidified object, right?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, anything that's like anything I guess I can visualize for the most part I can eventually make.
Anything you can visualize. What else could we try then? So let's treat it like creation magic real quick, because that seems the best way to look at this. Right? You can easily create a sword, you know, similar to a style like this, right? And it crystallizes upon contact with mana, too much of it turns into crystals, and then solidifies and hardens, and then it shatters. Introducing a spell into it just makes it explode. And you said this was ancestry stuff for combat?
Yeah, it's what my people, as far as I'm aware, have always done, is the kind of things that I tend to do. The medical stuff and then the combat, the objects.
And none of your people know anything else?
I'm I guess I'm not really sure. I was never aware of anything else. I never heard of anything else, but I mean someone might.
Do we want to go to your ship and talk to them?
I maybe could at some point. Yeah. But I do
Yes,
know
I
that
think
we
can
just
learn
don't
all we
have.
can from this place for now.
Yeah, I just know that we don't have many records of, I guess, stuff before our fleets. So if there was something like way in the past, we wouldn't really know what could be going on.
Oh, here's a question. Let's try this one last thing, and this will kind of explain some things. So I'm going to put mana into the air, right? So what I'm going to ask you to do, this is just pure mana. Ignore the fact it looks like healing magic. Try putting your blood into this and see if you can obtain it.
And she'll kind of float some blood. But the mana that's kind of flowing through the air doesn't try to, it just kind of bounces off the blood that already has some of its own mana in it a little bit, just because of how she is. But yeah,
So
it doesn't seem to,
boing.
essentially any of the mana that you're kind of swirling around just kind of does not go in.
What? So I already need a mixture of blood, and it can't just take pure mana? Even if you try to encompass all this mana in here inside your blood? Oh, try solidifying it and see what happens.
Okay. And she does. But then it seems to have a similar reaction where the mana that's like kind of encased inside the crystals starts to try to force its way out and tries to shatter it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop because unfortunately I don't need it shattering. But it's there.
Yeah.
So, what we can conclude to, using liquid makes a repellent from mana. So here's something you can maybe do. If someone's casting a lot of spells, maybe instead of your regular shield, focus on it being a liquid, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, that could maybe work if it does have such a, I guess, reflective kind of property. That could maybe work for things that are more mana based.
I would think so, because if you want it to shatter, you keep it solidified, right? Your liquid properties of it just kind of boing.
Yeah.
It's a lot more absorbent. So, because casting does not seem to be really okay with your blood. It seems to be more like
Yeah.
a repellent more than anything else. I'll definitely look around the library and see if I can learn anything else about the magic and hemomancy. And I will... definitely more in-depth guide besides what we learn now. But this is good. We definitely learned a lot more from before. So if we wanted more of a magic repellent, go liquid with it. So that's a good start. Try doing that with your blood. We don't know why it kind of does it right now as much. But it seems to be saying that, like, by default, blood cannot mixture with the mana.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know this is
It's-
probably exhausting you, but this is
no,
fascinating to me.
it's fine. I'm happy to know of it more. Unfortunately, it's not kind of what I was hoping of, like more than, but it's something. It's a start. It's good.
Yeah, unfortunately, things have to kind of take.
Yeah.
'Cause if we just like get all the information, well, geez, that would be fantastic. But
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
because I don't know really any other place that we could use really for the most part for our knowledge besides your own base. But like,
Yeah.
we have tested what it is. You need a balance between mana and blood. Otherwise, it solidifies and then shatters. Liquid version of it, causes it to be a repellent. Natural mana cannot be infused with you. It needs to be already infused with blood. Because in trying to cast a spell using your blood, eventually, it starts to unravel itself. Why? It's an excellent question. Why does it unweave itself? It's like, I guess what's unnatural to it to be a solidification?
Maybe.
Well, that's what it seems to be the best possible answer. Unless you can think of something else, or something you may want to try.
I can't think of anything else. I'll also leave you with a crystal you can mess around with if you want. And
Oh yes, please. I probably have to ask you again because I might shatter it, but
yeah, actually, here, I'll give you 2 for now. And yeah, I can always get you more.
I'll put these into there.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, that's been stored away. Okay, but yeah, I will do some testing with that, see what I can figure out. I'll read into the books because now I should have a little bit more knowledge, if anything, if something comes up. And if you get any ideas, just let me know, or what you may want to try. But so far, a good start, because there's probably magic that hasn't evolved. You might want to start looking into more of the liquid variant.
Yeah, I'll definitely consider messing around with some of that kind of stuff. See if I can figure anything out.
Okay.
Thanks for the help.
All right. Of course, anytime, seriously. I'm always happy to help out. And plus, I've been meaning to look into this myself. But with that, I assume we want to go back to Lanasaka?
Yeah, I'll probably go by for a little bit.
All right. Just open up a portal and we can say cards down.